In 3, 2, 1. All right, shut up. I'm joking. I don't actually wear glasses. I feel like I guess it's Americans because I don't really know what the policies are in, China or Europe or whatever. But I feel like we're not taking advantage of return policies as much. I mean, I certainly am. It's one of those things where sometimes you just need something and then you can just take it back whenever you want to. But the other big one is lifetime warranties. Like I've never, cashed in on that. I've seen that people exchange their tools. I don't know what I've got that has a lifetime warranty. And I feel like there's a lot of things that I've bought again that may have. So maybe start a little folder, a little section where you know what you got. And what I mean by that is it's time once again for the Disney Podclassics. My name is Harrison, and with me as always is my best friend Jay. Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Harrison. And actually the lifetime warranty thing came up with me today as we got a quote for an epoxy floor garage thing.
Normal.
And they gave a lifetime warranty. And I told the guy, I was like, well, I'm 30. So what exactly does that mean?
What are we talking about here?
Insane. Yeah. And he's like, no, yeah, of course. So
golly,
who the hell knows? But it is a weird concept.
I feel like I've bought things.
Think about what a lifetime warranty is.
Yeah, dude. I feel like I've definitely bought things because it has a lifetime warranty, and I'm like, oh gosh, well, I guess if it ever breaks, then but then I forget those things immediately.
Of course.
So
and that's what they hope for. And if you're selling lifetime warranties at a retirement home or something, are you
dude,
sticking it to them? Yeah, that's so rude of them to give a lifetime warranty.
Stuff. Yeah, and I think that filters right into what we do here at the Disney Podclassics. We have been watching Disney movies our whole life. Jay and I grew up on it. And found that love in each other and decided to just talk about it all the time, to the point where now we decided it's time to go back chronologically and watch all these movies in a row and see what they look like now with our aged eyes. We have done, I think this is number 7. We're gotten to Cinderella. We got the old VHS here just to prove that we know what we're talking about, that we've been there, we've done that. I don't know if it's rewound or not. Sometimes, no, very much rewound. So
that's great.
I was a good VHS owner. Jay, what was this movie like for you? And I mean, obviously it's one of the biggest Disney movies in history. If you'd ask everybody, in the world, which Disney movies they'd heard of, I'm sure Cinderella's top 3. So how did this hit you as a child?
Yeah. As I look around the corner on going through each Disney movie one by one, there will only be a couple times where I will say this, but it feels like we've arrived.
Wow.
And it's very exciting to finally be here, be in the 50s, exciting time, post World War II. But for me as a kid, I didn't watch this movie that often. I didn't have much of a connection with it. It's obviously a great movie and I enjoyed it as a kid. The main connection that I had with this movie as a kid was my sister, who's 10 years older, could always sing the Cinderella song, which always impressed me. But other than that,
would you do it in the Alvin and the Chipmunks style? Was that something?
Yeah. More of that style than a normal version. Yes. Yeah, it was impressive.
Would it impress you now?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, me too. I think so as well. For me, I mean, I had 2 sisters that were younger. So you watch it when you're born, they play it in the delivery room and then you watch it growing up. And then every time they were born, I was going to watch it again. So this one was huge in rotation. It was it has some serious wear and tear to it. This thing's just crumpled because we were just throwing it at each other, just talking about how much we liked it, growing up. Did you like it this time?
Yes. Each time that I've seen this movie as an adult, I've enjoyed it more and more. And this was one of the most fun rewatches I can imagine that we'll go through in the whole run.
Wow.
I think that this is a fantastic movie and really excited to talk about it.
I am excited to talk about it as well. I have to admit, it wasn't no, it's not like that. Don't freak out. It's not that I didn't like it, but this one changed the way I liked it so much more than other ones. I lost a little respect for it for some of the mice scenes and the duration of them. I just don't like things that I used to like when I was, 6. So those hit hard for me earlier, and I loved it because of that reason. Now it's like I really appreciate Cinderella more. I feel differently about the movie overall, the circumstances, whatnot. But it's not it. fantastic movie. Can't say anything otherwise, but it was a dynamic change for me, I would say.
Yeah, I have higher of highs and lower of lows watching it as an adult, but it nets out to being more positive than like kind of an average for a young kid.
Gotta love it. What do you know about this movie now?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting time in Disney history. There's some really good documentaries about the making of Cinderella and how important this movie was for Walt Disney and the animation studios to stay in business. I repeat, stay in business. This was
just a young startup
banking
just barely
on this
Q2.
movie. Yes, banking on this movie was going to decide whether they could stay profitable with making animated movies, or if they would just move permanently into live action, which they had just started around this time. And World War II and some of the movies that we've already been through were not nearly as successful as usual. So this movie, if it was not successful, we would not have got all of the classic movies in the 50s. Disneyland opened 1955, 5 years after this movie. None of that gets financed without the success of Cinderella.
Golly. They have, one of the things that has gone beyond the movie is the concept of a Cinderella story. People use that, especially in sports, a Cinderella story. Shouldn't it be another one that's like a Cinderella bet, where it's like, I'm just betting the house, and if we make it...
The Cinderella bet, yeah.
I'm making a Cinderella bet on this one. Like, if it doesn't work, we're totally done. If it does work, we might be in such business for the rest of time. I think that should be a saying that I don't...
I like it.
I like it too.
It happened 3 times in Disney history. It was Snow White with the first one, Cinderella, and Little Mermaid way down the road. But those 3 movies, if those were not successful, we would not have Disney.
Oof, can you imagine?
No,
it's
and
like
it honestly is hard to imagine. I can say what I'm saying right now, but it's hard to actually picture Disney on the brink of going bankrupt. They were $4 million in debt before this movie came out.
It's like when I think about living in like a post-apocalyptic world where you're like, dude, do you even want to survive if like everyone's looting each other and you've got to shoot people? Same kind of thing. Like, would I even want to survive in a world where Disney didn't make it past Cinderella? Where all we've got is like Victory at War and Steamboat Willie, and then we're done? Are you kidding?
The world's sadder, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things.
One of the most heartwarming stories and facts from any movie, not just Disney, is that Eileen Woods, the singer of Cinderella, later in her life, she got Alzheimer's, and she would have these days where she would feel depressed, and the nurses would play A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes, and she didn't remember that she played Cinderella, but the song would always make her happy.
Wow. God, that's a weird double-edged sword. How beautiful and sad at the same time. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Gotta
long, beautiful life.
Yeah. Beautiful voice too. Great impact on society. I found out that this was not, obviously it's not an original story, but this has been around since like the 6th century BCE. And apparently the first people who did it was the Greeks. And there was a Greek courtesan, and I should have practiced this, but it's like Rhodopis had one of her shoes stolen by an eagle who flies it all the way across the Mediterranean and drops it in the lap of an Egyptian king. And then he searches to find who is that person and then marries her. And then there was another one in China, I think it was. And I just remember it because same kind of story, loses a slipper, the king finds it, searches for a person who's got this tiny feet. But then at the very last sentence of the description was like, and marries the girl, and the stepmother was crushed by boulders in her cave house. And I was like, if only, am I right? So... Yeah, that's all I got.
Interesting.
I know.
Yeah, actually, in college, when we were living together, Harrison, I don't know if you remember this, but I took a folktale, like German history class.
Oh, yeah.
And I did a project on comparing Brothers Grimm, the Charles Perret version of Cinderella, and then the Disney version. And did like a comparison. And I was in a group project.
What a dream project.
It was funny because I was in the group project, and then there was a huge list of different fairy tales. And I was like, oh, like, let's go Cinderella, but not trying to just like
Be like,
expose myself to these two women that like I'm a
Cinderella's fine.
huge, yeah, exactly.
I
like
wanted to,
downplay. I'm like, no, actually, the Disney version was not like that. Let me be very clear. So,
I'm going to stop you there, Angela. Let's just rewatch the movie together and we'll debate.
It's one of the most fun projects I've ever had. Just watching
shout
Cinderella.
out. You remember your teacher's name?
No, I don't. But I remember the building at University of Oregon. That's about it.
Listen, the teacher or the building, if you're listening, and we know that you are, Jay really had an impact based on either the space that you provided for him to learn or the class that you taught him. So thank you for that. If you don't have anything else, I say we jump into the chapters, Jay.
Yeah, let's do it. So chapter one.
Before, I mean, and honestly, contract stuff, and it's not,
Yeah.
you know,
Sure.
sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. I do have to give a shout out to our sponsors. This week's episode, and honestly, for me, this is, I'm a little starstruck because this one's huge for me. It's TSA PreCheck. TSA PreCheck changed my life when I got it. I think it was associated with a credit card. We don't need to go into details. The point is, you aren't a celebrity most of the time in your life. And if you are, hey, you know what? Don't even save the pre-check for the rest of us, but you'll never feel like a celebrity more than when you walk at 6 a.m. past 300 people in a wraparound line, looking each of them in the eyes and being like, yeah, I don't even really need to take my shoes off. So I don't think I can go back. And it's $100 for 5 years.
Get over it and pay it.
So my thing is, or don't, because honestly, the less of you in the line, the better. But TSA PreCheck, thank you so much for sponsoring the episode. Jay, you got anything to say about them?
I could not agree more.
This one's huge.
One of the reasons how I knew Lindsay, my fiance,
was
that she had TSA PreCheck, went through and then waited for me on the other end.
Ooh.
And then one time I think even went in the old school line, even though she had TSA PreCheck.
I've done that.
Like,
I've done that for a loved one. It sucks.
Global entry attached to that as well. That alone, you get through international TSA.
Customs, I don't even remember what customs are.
And it normally takes 2 hours. So anyway, very happy to be sponsors. I actually don't want this to get out to too many people because
I was just realizing
I don't want that many people to know
Pandora's box. It's a best kept secret, even though everyone knows what it is. I do also, as a side note, and this isn't a sponsor, hopefully one day, but I do want to give a quick shout out to Biscotti for essentially taking the job of peanuts and pretzels as the plain snack. Sometimes I'll buy a flight just to get those 2 biscottis. They're kind of like the Andes Mint of the skies, where you're not going to buy them yourself in bulk, but man, when they give them to you, you're just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever had. So yeah, thank you for that. Anyways, Jay, take us away with chapter 1.
Yeah, so we start with the prologue, very beautiful, kind of sets the stage. Cinderella's mom died, then her dad died, and now she's stuck with the stepmom and stepsisters. I think we all know the story. She wakes up, she sings "A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes," very beautiful. Goes into quite a long cat and mouse type scenes to get introduced to the little critters around the house. And then Lady Tremaine gives some chores from bed, very baller-like. And then you get introduced to the king and the duke, and they want to set up a ball to find the prince a love interest. So there's no easy way to jump into this question, but in the prologue, they mention
What's your political status?
Yeah, exactly. Let's get this all out on the table.
Abortion? What do you think, dude?
It's more controversial than all that.
My God.
So in the prologue, they mention that Cinderella's dad had an untimely death, ... And it seems like very strange.
But a very timely mustache.
Yeah. He was looking good.
He was looking good.
Is it possible that Lady Tremaine killed Cinderella's dad to get the inheritance?
Ooh. You don't put it past her. First, my instinct reaction is...
You can't say no.
She's a killer, yeah.
It's a conversation to have.
She definitely... Okay, so like... She's... I don't know if it says how long they were married, but would the goal be to just take his wealth?
She was 5. They were probably married for... We don't know how long he's been dead, is the thing. But anywhere from like 5 to 15 years. They said that the dad wanted to have a mother figure for Cinderella. This is like the worst mother figure, obviously. And she got way more cold afterwards.
But you
which
can't.
makes me think she could have played this whole role, killed him, and then is like, yeah, let's just use her for a slave and keep the inheritance and everything. She's a terrible woman.
terrible
Why
person.
I would like to see
I
the
love it.
argument against her. Like, this would be a great courtroom drama.
I love it. I think the evidence is there. God, what a cold case file that if we could bring it back to
Yeah,
court, my
we should.
goodness. We should do a 6-part documentary series that like gets a bunch of people on Twitter freaking out, being like, there's new evidence in the case. There's definitely a death there because she's still out there roaming around someday in a faraway land. I love it. I think that, I think she definitely did, because there's a scene too where like, I don't know. It's like she's crying on her dad.
On the bed.
Yeah. And then like the mom and the stepsisters are there looking like they
don't care. They're not sad that he's dead. But
why wouldn't he kill her? Or why wouldn't she kill her as well?
Maybe she tried to and it wasn't an accident, or she wanted her to be a slave.
Wow.
I mean, she's labor.
It said that she abused her, which is a weird word associated. It's so obvious when you watch the movie, but as a child, I never honed in on the fact that like this is child abuse. But it said like she abused her until she finally became like a servant. So it's almost like she just like found a place for her. Conspiracy.
Who knows,
corner,
right?
I think
it's interesting. I'm curious people's thoughts.
Big time.
Also, do you know the voice in the prologue, who that was?
Golly. No, I know it's a female, right?
One of the most fun facts that are out there. That is the voice of Cruella Deville.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Maleficent or something just because it's you.
Well, no, the voice of Maleficent is Lady Tremaine.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought she's in there.
So yeah, she is in it.
Cruella,
but
what a
Cruella
range.
Deville, and it's a beautiful voice. Go back and listen
so
to the
nice.
prologue, and then you can hear little hints of Cruella, and it's amazing. And it got me thinking. I don't even want your reaction right now, but as homework after this podcast for the next 24 hours, because that's about how much time I've spent on this. Imagine Lady Tremaine and Cruella Deville swapped in the different movies. And imagine the differences, and like the storylines would still play out the same way, but there would be certainly a different path. I can see Cruella Deville being at the ball, like giving that same look that Lady Tremaine does of like, who is that girl? You know,
Dude, I think there's two major differences. I know you don't want my reaction, but you're going to get it. And I think that the first one is that Cruella is in jail by the end of this movie if she's in Cinderella. She's going to do something. She's going to lose it.
She's not as calm.
She's not as calm. She's not as controlled. She is going to end up trying to kill her at the ball when she sees or realizes, or she's going to have already like murdered her in open air.
Yeah.
The other thing is,
that's a good point.
If you put Lady Tremaine in 101Ds, those puppies die. That plan works out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point.
That plan. So these are two very different movies if that's a swap. But I love the swap. That's great. Yeah. It's really great. You know, a lot of these movies start as a faraway land, you know, and I realized when that hit me this time, I was like, why did he say that? Like, far away from where? Because then theoretically, isn't everywhere a faraway land from somewhere? And I'm pretty sure this is just France. So, like, if we're watching this in Germany, it's not that far. But whatever. I guess this is one of the things where you get introduced to Cinderella and immediately fall in love. I'm sure that we have the same opinion on how great Cinderella is. I had a weird, I mean, it's another one of these princesses that has a very strange affinity and connection to animals. She has the entire routine drilled into birds. What is it? Mice, birds, and is there anything else? Squirrels or anything? No, I'm thinking Snow White. But like, how long does that routine take to train animals? If you really think about, like, I'm trying to train a dog right now, and it's so difficult, and they're want to learn, you know, but like these birds and stuff to get the sponge and then squash it and all these things, like it's slow progress, I imagine. Do you think she's just a whisperer, or do you think that she's just got a lot of time on her hands?
I think she has a lot of time on her hands and a heart of gold and the patience that it would take to have all of these characters work like she's conducting an orchestra. It's really beautiful.
And why are they shining her shoes? She's literally going to walk out the door and go step in soot and like clean all day. Get her some Dr. Scholl's and like a pair of work boots. Don't shine her little.
No,
what
that's
do we
the
do?
same
Is it- or
argument
is
of
it
like,
just a
why make
pride
the
thing?
bed? Like, we're going to get right back in it. It's a pride thing. Yeah, of course. Cinderella, like, she doesn't have a whole lot going on. She's got Lady Tremaine
shiny
on
shoes,
her all
though.
the time. So,
Was the ready-made wardrobe for the mice? I mean, like the fact that Gus Gus comes into the picture, she opens a little drawer, and she has multiple shirts and jackets for different sizes of whatever mouse that
Yeah.
she's going to find. Is that a red flag? If you met a woman
yeah,
and
of
then
course,
she
all
had a
this
drawer,
is red flags. But you know what? Everyone has an interesting childhood. She went through a lot. She was abused, and
there's a lot worse. You could
cannot
have
say anything bad about Cinderella without me dying on this podcast. Okay, so
Okay, I get it.
Watch it. That's
okay,
all I'm
that's
gonna
fair.
say.
Little
You've been
trivia
warned.
for you. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
bring
fine.
it.
I'll move the subject. This is like when an objection happens in court, and I just ask my next question. Gus Gus. he comes
Awkward.
in
Like,
the real-
obviously that didn't work well.
Well, flip. So Gus Gus was introduced in this chapter. Can you name his real name?
No, I can't.
Would you be surprised to hear that it was Ebenezer?
Yes.
Yeah, because it wasn't. It was Octavius.
Oh,
That's what the name she came up with.
Octavius.
That's like an orange flag for me. That's where her brain went first. But they're interesting at the same time. The mice, where are you at with them? I obviously alluded a little bit to it in the beginning that they didn't hit the same for me
Yeah.
as they did at the beginning, or in the beginning of my life. But this time, where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I remember enjoying the mice and Lucifer and all of those very like Tom and Jerry type scenes, which I always forget
Great
how much
reference,
of this
actually.
movie is Tom and Jerry.
It is.
And it's the first 45 minutes of this movie is a little too long, and it's mainly because of the mice scenes. It's, I don't know, when you're an adult, it's just they're not as cute. They're not really funny. And
I hate that.
That beat gets done very early. And it's the
that
same
voice.
complaint that we have with the dwarfs in Snow White. Like, it just went on too long.
Yeah.
And for kids, I think it appeals way more than
did
the
like it
dwarfs
as a
did.
kid.
Like,
Yeah.
it is a improvement, but it's
not
too
enough.
long. It's too long.
The one thing I did like that was subtle that I didn't pick up last time is that when Jack, I don't know how you're supposed to say it, is telling Gus Gus about, he shows him the cat, Lucifer. And Gus Gus has this like, oh, I've done this before, I'm going to just kill the cat confidence. And I'm just like, where the hell has he been in his previous life where he's like, oh, I'm just going to, like, I was like, dude, that is such delusion. Or he's like a cold-blooded killer in the past or something. Like, we don't know where he came from. He could be on the run, murdering cats from before.
Yeah. Maybe he's like the Peter Pan sword to the Captain Hook sword.
yeah, just
He's got
using the
that much
tail.
skill that he doesn't mind.
Doesn't look like it, but he's just that fat guy who can ball. How is the mouse breakfast situation not more efficient? Like, that was another thing that frustrated me. You start looking at these situations, you're like, okay, I can accept that you've trained these mice. They're your friends. You know, the birds. I'll get there. But like, are you really going to bring them out into the chicken pen to make them forage for their kernels when you just were having a face-to-face conversation with them up the stairs and could have just been like, oh, hey, don't even worry about it. You get killed almost every day. At least 3 of you die. So let's just, do this in-house. Let's bring that production
exactly.
within closed doors.
Hey, you got to meet Bruno, the original Bruno Mars.
Yeah, that's so true. He really
I
is
like
the
that
original
dog.
Bruno Mars. Do you?
I do, yeah. And actually, let's go back to college as well. I had a cat named
Just
Big
re-enroll.
2, and you used to always refer to her as Lucifer.
Big 2. Dude, because...
It's so offensive. Rest in peace, Big 2. But, like, she shouldn't hear any of that crap when she was alive, and I'll never be able to get over it.
Dude, that dog, that dog was a cat, man. No, I did not like the cat, and honestly, Lucifer was more active than your cat was, so there was more respect for Lucifer than Big 2 ever deserved.
Dude,
But
she was like
R.I.P.
a fullback. Like, don't underestimate her.
She could barrel down a
both-
trash can, dude.
They were both plump.
She was built like a trash can. Okay,
Bone.
to the stepmom. Obviously, this movie's not great step parent PR.
No.
One thing I noticed about it that I never noticed before, and I will put this on the screen personally, but huge pillow that woman is dealing with. She has a full like elephant behind her when she's sleeping. Just one, not like
not notice
multiple
that.
pillows of decadence. She's got a big boy pillow that she's just resting on. I'm just like, how does this woman sleep on that? But pretty interesting. Stepmom is tough, but I guess it's just supposed to accentuate how much you love Cinderella. Any comments on her?
I think she might be a murderer. I think that says just about everything.
That's kind of all you need to say. Let's move on to dating. If you were to take Cinderella's obviously captured the hearts of everyone since 1950. Got mine 3 days ago when I watched this movie. If you could take her on a date and treat her the way that she deserves to be treated, what would you do for her? Or like a gift or something like that? Something nice. How would you want to spend time with Cinderella?
Are we in the modern world?
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay, 100%. Get her a pair of AirPods.
Oh my gosh.
It would completely
Not a
change your life.
sponsor.
I cannot do any to-do list without AirPods. I'm sick. My soul is just collapsing into Apple products. But if Cinderella had AirPods, her whole day is so much
Different.
better. She
What's she
loves
listening
music
to?
as well.
NWA?
She's probably not listening to this, that's for sure. But she's
Maybe.
going to listen to some music. Nice I imagine.
That's probably what she'd listen
Sing
to.
to it as well, and noise cancellation.
Oh my gosh.
The AirPod Plus or whatever the hell.
Gotta love that.
Yeah.
That's a great gift. I love that. I'm saying, I was thinking like a spa day, but I was also thinking like get her on like Fiverr and then get her a maid that will just come in and do this stuff. Cause I don't think, I'm sure Lady Tremaine would have issues with it, but
she would.
At the same time, that house is so big. I feel like get her a maid for a day, send her to the spa, get her a massage. She's never been treated like that before. I feel like that's got to be the best thing for her. But I think honestly, she'd probably take you and your AirPods over one day of decadence that I can offer. So you win.
Yeah. Do you recall in the prologue what Cinderella's wish was?
No.
I love this fact.
Okay.
The wish at the very end of the prologue was that she wished that she would find happiness and that it would come true. That she wakes up every morning even though she's been beat down by the stepmother and stepsisters. Like, that's amazing that was the fact and that it wasn't love.
Beautiful.
Actually, again,
love is a byproduct.
Yeah, I always
end.
forget about that. Like, yeah, she's actually looking for happiness more independently than actually like true love and all that. So for the 7th Disney movie that has been created, it's pretty impressive that she was just trying to find happiness.
I couldn't agree more. I actually like that because there's a line in this movie, obviously at the beginning, where it's a dream is a wish that your heart makes. And that struck me differently this time. If that's true, then my heart wishes to be in an industrial complex of, structure and scaffolding, getting chased by a cougar until I inevitably can fly away. So, Jay, what's a recent wish that your heart has made based on your recent dreams?
Yeah, that fact actually, and all of, kind of that classic Disney of like a dream is a wish your heart makes. It's in many more movies, but Maleficent was in many, many nightmares. I was like, actually, I'll take not having any of my dreams come true versus like my nightmares and my dreams.
You wish for Maleficent.
My nightmares have been way worse. So as a kid, I remember like at 10 years old watching this movie and being like, that is a scary fact. Like, that's way more jarring than what Walt Disney is intending for this little boy.
That's great. Okay. Do you have anything else on chapter 1? You want me to move into chapter 2?
Well, you get introduced to the king, and I enjoy him more every time. And I loved the quote at the beginning when he's talking about having a ball and having his prince meet someone. Totally. And he says, love is just a boy meeting a girl under the right conditions. Mm-hmm. So we're arranging the conditions.
Yeah.
Or circumstances. I think it's circumstances. But
it is circumstances.
That is such an awesome quote.
I love
And
that.
I probably think about that quote. I don't use it that often, but it's a great selling point to the Duke where he has nothing to respond
Oh,
with.
yeah.
It's like he's just making this more efficient for the prince. And I've always thought like Tinder should incorporate some style of that quote in their tagline because that is
We're
what
just arranging the conditions.
yeah, it's amazing. If you can make a Disney reference into that, you know,
Oh
you
my
get some-
gosh.
The public doesn't know Disney well enough, but the real
changing
slogan
that.
should just be ... So we're arranging the conditions.
That's so good. I love that. You gotta get, since we're on the king, you gotta give him some credit. I remember really disliking him as a child. I thought he was way too extra, way more energy than I was comfortable with. He made me feel bad. But I mean, I love my father, but he has never gone to the lengths that this king has gone to set him up with a beautiful maiden in the land. As to bring a ball without even really clearing it with him, I guess is one thing, but to bring every eligible maiden to a place just to meet your son, dude, where's the effort on my end at that? I know I'm not a prince, but my goodness, you got to get best wingman in Disney. I can't think of a better one.
You wouldn't want that though.
You don't think?
You know what the beautiful thing about this is that the whole village was very excited about it.
Oh yeah,
Like,
dude, they love
you know, like it does seem like
It's
it
France,
could
man.
be propaganda, but it's like a win for everyone. Like everyone's happy to go to the castle they don't normally get to go.
Good point.
Even if they say no, it's still a win. Like Lady Tremaine definitely had a great night. You know?
That's so true, and she's not even an eligible maiden.
No,
I wonder if she's
no, of
even
course.
allowed to go.
It was probably just a great event.
Just a fun
and
time.
It doesn't seem like a lot is happening in that village. So for everyone to be able to dress up and go there, it's like
Oh wow, good
it's
point.
the closest thing to a Gatsby party for them.
Great point. And honestly, everyone who's not in a Lady Tremaine chateau, think about the scale up that is for an evening. You're either
Yeah.
going to be like sitting around a cold fire eating gruel, or you're going to be in, on a red carpet dancing or bowing to the prince. You got to love it. Got to love it. Okay, chapter 2, they get the invitation at the house, at the chateau. And the stepmother gives Cinderella an impossible workload. She tells her she's got to get so many things done if she wants to go, because technically she's eligible to go as well. But the one problem that Cinderella has is she'll never be able to make a dress. So the mice take this over. I don't know if that was part of their training in the beginning, but they know how to do it. They make her this beautifully adjusted dress, to which, on the way out, the stepsisters, Drizella and... What's the other one's
Anastasia.
name? Anastasia, that's right. And I know which one is which, too. They look like them. They rip it off her. They get pissed, and she's essentially in tatters. She goes to the courtyard to cry, and the fairy godmother shows up, gives her a Cinderella story, a rags to riches circumstance, dress, carriage, horses, beautiful slippers. Just pay attention. And then she goes to the ball and meets the prince. They have this beautiful night. Instantly he sees her, he falls in love. They go dance, and then he's about to, kiss her. Clock strikes 12. She's about to lose all of her powerful gifts, and then she makes an escape for it. So I guess in this one, it's like, she sees this way out, and I guess it pulled me back to when she's at the house, and it's like, if you're in Cinderella's situation, she's 19, she's in this circumstance, she's got this, fairy godmother now. What do you do with that information if you're Cinderella? Do you leave? Do you stay there? Or do you murder everyone?
All good questions.
Thank you.
Nothing's off the table technically. I thought about this, and I've thought about this before. Would Cinderella just run away at this point? Like, is this the breaking point where if the fairy godmother doesn't come in, would she just run? The problem is, in this situation, Cinderella's heart is too big.
Wow.
It's too big for all of us. It's
Like
like
the Grinch.
Secretariat, how he
the
had like a
opposite.
3 times the big heart.
Good Secretariat reference.
Oh,
You don't get that everywhere.
I'll do a podcast about Secretariat any day of the
won't.
week. So Cinderella, though, she is so loving to all these creatures that she wouldn't leave them. And it's actually the thing
Wow.
that is the anchor that holds her down in there. And it's
She's keeping
sweet
ties
and very
with the animals.
sad all at the same time. Like you wish she would cut ties better and do like the Jasmine with the hood on and jump
Oh,
the
yeah,
wall and
just get
get
out
out
of
of there, you know? Sometimes you gotta say bye to Raja, people.
Yeah,
Okay?
it's true. That's true.
Yeah,
But she's
and
got like
she
50
won't.
small Rajas, so it's tough for her, I think.
Yeah.
The sisters that we brought up, we didn't really talk about them before. They're in this chapter. They're the worst. They obviously rip the dress off. And what I'd say is the worst scene to watch as a child of this movie, when they're, attacking her and ripping everything off. But one of the second worst scenes is when they're singing and having their little, you just learn to hate them so much. Did you have any opinion on that?
Yeah, a couple points. Yeah, the stepsisters, I kind of like them more and more as I've got older. Like they're awkward. They mention it in the prologue,
they
and
use
it's a
that
perfect
word.
way to describe them. Actually, so I love that. But
Evil stepmother, awkward stepsisters.
yeah, there is something that I want to share in terms of when they sing Sweet Nightingale.
Share as in...
As in...
Do you mean Music Time with Jay, the part of the
I do.
podcast where Jay takes some songs from the movie and puts them into world applications in real life?
Yeah. So,
Please, my gosh, you're doing everyone a favor, Jay. Go ahead and take us away.
yeah, happy to. So, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the New York Yankees, when they play their baseball games, they're old baseball games.
Yeah.
When they're playing at home, if they lose, it's a Eliza Minnelli version of New York, New York, which is like a little bit more like
Sadder?
whiny. It's just more whiny.
Okay.
And if they win, they play the Frank Sinatra, New York, New York.
I did
Okay, so
not
it's
know that.
obviously more upbeat, right?
Right.
So I don't care, high school, college, professional. I've thought a lot about this. I really don't care even what sport, but I want a team that when they lose, they play the stepsisters version of Sing Sweet.
Oh, wow.
And when they win, they play the Cinderella
version.
Yeah. And like I can imagine the coach, like of a football team being like,
You guys want to hear like the stepsisters version again?
You want to hear Drizella in your ears
4 weeks in a row?
yeah, I could just imagine like it'd be great. And the crowd
That
would
is-
just be so happy to hear the beautiful version of Cinderella after a win.
Gosh, that's so good. Wow, way to tie it to the Yankees. I did not see that one coming. That's beautiful, Jay. That's a great Music Time with Jay right there. I absolutely love it. With the dressmaking, there's a couple points I've got. I, first off, noticed on the making the dress process that they measured her from her waist down for the dress to be 30 inches. And I've decided to figure out how tall I think Cinderella would be. And she is approximately 8 inches shorter than I am. And I'm 6'2", so that would make her, would that be 5'6"?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Yeah, 5'6". Math?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say a couple and I'll just edit the right one. 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", 5'10". She's 7 foot. So we're covered now. But yeah, I don't think there's not a lot of literature on how tall Cinderella is, but now you can really picture her as a 5'6" woman.
Yeah, that's interesting. I imagined her taller, but back then it probably was
Oh
like
gosh,
a woman
she's
being
probably
6
towering.
foot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing I remember in Bambi, I talked to you about a little mouse water moment I had with the mouse doing the thing.
Yeah, of course.
I have
Can't
another
forget.
one in this one, and ironically, it is also a mouse. But when there's a female mouse and she's licking the thread to put it in between a needle,
Yeah.
I have never one time in my life threaded a needle without exactly thinking of that and done. Like that's where I learned that you can do that. And it's much easier looking for her, but I think about that all the time to the point where I'm not even realizing I'm referencing Cinderella in my head. It's just what I think about when I thread a needle. So
That is beautiful. You got to have those mouse water moments.
those
in life.
mouse water moments, baby.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
I have a point to bring. I mean, it's been too long to not bring up Fairy G, the fairy godmother.
because a lot happens in this chapter.
A lot
Fairy
happens
G.
in this chapter. So I guess like my first question to you is like, what are your thoughts on her? How do you like the scene? It's very iconic. Walt said that it's his favorite animation ever is when she transforms into the gown.
Wow,
Yeah.
Big Dub D.
Yeah. So anyway, like we have to spend some
We
time
do have
here.
to talk about her. She is obviously like coming up for air. If you're like drowning and then all of a sudden
Great point.
She's, Cinderella's crying on the stoop of her courtyard. She's actually, real quick side note, she's talking to the song, which is so weird because they're singing like, if you just believe it. And she's like, I can't believe, there's no hope anymore. And there's multiple back and forths between the song and her. So there's something weird going on there, but
keep believing. I will not.
I'm not going to. Shut up. It's a really weird thing, but Fairy Godmother comes in, and honestly, I wanted to do a segment for Harrison's heroes on the Fairy Godmother, because without her in this movie, you are just destitute, poor, and honestly, we might be looking at a triple homicide when they get back from the ball. Like, who knows if this was Cinderella's breaking point, like you said. The Fairy Godmother's so sweet. She's almost kind of like she's a couple marbles short or something in her way, but in a fun, kind of nice way. She's kind of aloof and weird. I have a bit of a conspiracy corner attached to it, where I feel like there's a chance, and just hang in there with me with this one. I know you're not going to like to hear it, but you might. The Blue Fairy in Pinocchio. I don't know how the timelines work out exactly, but is there a chance that the Fairy Godmother is her at the end of her career, tenured, doing a little, every now and then a couple little magic things on her whim? The Blue Fairy, when she first comes in, is just kind of a boss lady, like just really making her way, up and comer, doing big entrances, stuff like that. And then the Fairy Godmother, they got the same color scheme. They kind of look the same. You could definitely see the transition there. I think that they are the same person. They're not that far away from each other location.
Timeline wise, it matches up.
Doesn't it?
Location wise, Italy and France.
Oh my gosh. She's got a European jurisdiction.
She's got plenty of time to go. Hopefully TSA pre-check.
Yeah,
with that magic.
True. She would have definitely missed the flight if not.
But I can go one step further. The Blue Fairy looks kind of like Cinderella. And I have always wondered,
color scheme and
is
such.
the Fairy Godmother Cinderella's mom that has come back in this magical form? But what if the Blue Fairy is Cinderella's mom?
Whoa, dude.
And then keeps going?
Whoa, dude. Well, the thing is, the one
look
downside,
at them side by side.
I know. Well,
it's
when
close.
you look at it that way,
they look very similar.
And there's times like you've seen a picture of your grandmother before, and when she was younger, and it's like, sepia tone, and you're like, you know what? This doesn't look like you now. But you were a beautiful. Yeah. I could definitely see the transition being there. The one thing I would have to say negative about her is where the hell has she been for 19 years? Why now?
Because this was the breaking point.
She
what
got
doesn't
it right.
kill you make you stronger.
I see.
Hashtag Kelly Clarkson. I think
Kelly K.
It got to that point where she needed this help. And it is a low. And that's a great point that you bring up. She is definitely a hero. And let me just jump into Harrison's heroes real quick.
Please, yeah.
So
you're welcome.
I spent a lot of time doing this. Now
it's a painting I've made of the Fairy Godmother. Watercolors.
So, I'm going to say this. The most efficient Disney character appearance of all time.
Whoa.
And I went through each movie
one by one.
All the way. All the way. And really thought about this. And can you guess how much time the Fairy Godmother was on screen?
Oh, man. 7 minutes?
5 minutes.
No way.
5 minutes. This movie was like an hour 20-ish.
Huge.
Think about her impact, how much you love her. She completely saves the day. She has a fantastic Disney song that just goes on for, the test of time. All incredible, right?
In 5 minutes.
The only characters that are shout outs of other very efficient characters is the Border Collie from 101 Dalmatians.
Wow, you really did go through them.
We love the Border. Yes, a huge impact in that story, but not the Fairy Godmother.
Yeah.
King Louis doesn't really advance the story, but very efficient.
But awesome,
another great song as well,
song.
right? And that's
true.
one
better
scene
song,
wonder.
I would say.
And then the only thing, if you count Mufasa in the clouds as a version.
No, you can't. No.
Okay. But I'm just saying, if you can,
If you did.
I went back and like I kind of like cheated and watched like a little bit of
No,
that.
you did not, Jay.
No, I did. I didn't watch the whole thing or anything.
Okay, good.
But I went back. Can you guess how much time Mufasa's cloud time is?
2 minutes?
50 seconds. That scene changed my life, and Mufasa in the clouds did that in 50 seconds.
We've got to save it for Lion King.
Yes, of course.
But I love the research. That's that hard-hitting facts that we bring.
It goes
here.
back. Fairy Godmother has the most efficient scene in Disney history.
Speaking of her song, I love that point. Speaking of her song, Bippity Boppity Boo, a little trivia for you. Can you name the other lyrics? You don't have to do all of it, but the first part. Everyone knows Bippity Boppity Boo, but do you know the first bit? Can you name the first couple words from the movie? From the song?
Solacadoo?
Pretty close.
I don't know what they're actually saying. I know the sounds of it.
Yeah.
But are they actually words?
Try the next one. You're really
All I could do, a mad the boo, a bippity boppity boo. Put them together, and what do you got?
Bippity Boppity. It's Salagadoola Michikaboola.
So is that real?
No,
Or is that just sound?
No, it's like a weird
It could
New
be a
Orleans
different
incantation or something, dude. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's move to the ball because I worry that we're not going to get there eventually. The ball's huge.
Strike midnight, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
They didn't even get here. They took a couple detours. They didn't even get to the ball. They turned into the pumpkin. Well done, Cinderella.
On the way to the ball, I think honestly, my biggest thing I want to talk about in this podcast entirely is the concept of the fairy godmother changing the way that they get to the ball, changing these animals into other things. And I was thinking this would absolutely unravel the minds of these animals, essentially. Like, can you imagine being a mouse and then temporarily being a horse? Feeling that power, the speed, and then a dog suddenly becoming a human driver with hands, opposable thumbs. I'm sure he's not stopping talking the whole way. It's his first chance to be able to say everything he's ever wanted to say. And then imagine them afterwards, just at the bar, just like, and they're like, "What's wrong, Gus?" And he's like,
It's just better. It's just better to be a horse.
I could never go back.
I like how does that not
Where's
just
that fairy godmother? Like just completely.
Well, I want to add something we'd like to sequel. I want to see another movie called Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True. I'm kidding. I want to see another movie where these animals that all got changed are so thrown off by what happened to them that they all band together and try and find the fairy godmother to then again become sentient in another life form and go on an adventure to find her and just have her change them again for a little bit.
I love that.
Dude, because there's no way you just become like, dude, they were even having a problem with Lucifer at the time. He's trapped, potentially could die. He's a mouse, so he definitely thinks he's about to die. And then becomes a horse and scares Lucifer beyond anything he's ever seen in his life. The power that you feel for just a moment.
Yeah.
Even waiting outside of the ball for them. You're loving life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're back to being a mouse.
It's like jumping ahead. The only reason why in Peter Pan that they're fine being back at home is because their experience was miserable at Neverland, right? Like that, it has to like, something terrible has to happen for these animals to just be like, all right, I'm back. I'm fine being back at square one. Because all of that was positive.
It was all great. And I just feel like it was
in the carriage while Cinderella's in there with the prince. Dude, like, what do you think that those 2 hours were doing?
The dog is just bouncing around, like using his legs and stuff. It was probably just like, dude, this is so great.
It's probably just Bippity Boppity Boo on repeat out there. All the soldiers are like, who are these people?
The carriage driver's just lifting stuff. I feel like that to me. I was like, how did I miss that before? That is the biggest deal ever for them. But moving on to the ball. So this is love, obviously a great scene.
So beautiful.
The one thing that stands out to me beyond everything else of this whole scene is just the experience of the prince. He's got essentially real life Tinder, like you've said, where he goes up, someone, comes up and bows to him. He's got to just kind of wave him off, swipe left or right. And that's it's tough to know everything you need to know off of a bow. But he knows everything from Cinderella. Things are going great. He doesn't even show this kind of, affection for anybody. His father's freaking out about it. And then he's about, like, magical night. He's about to mac, and then clock strikes midnight, which is just something that happens every single day. And she's like, oh, I have to go. And he's like, what? And, like, imagine being in his position where, like, you've been dancing for hours. It's going perfectly. You're about to, like, muster up the courage to make that move. And then she's like, oh, I've got to leave. And he's like, why? She's like, I haven't even met the prince yet. Which means that Cinderella thought the entire time that this is just some random guy. And
No,
he's just like, oh, I'll
she
get to the
panicked.
prince when
She panicked.
You think? Because honestly, it's almost like a real life Tinder date where you show up to the bar, fall in love with someone else, and it turns out to be the guy that you were supposed to meet.
Yeah, that part stood out to me as well. I think
poor
she
prince.
knew that was the prince, though.
We have to assume, because otherwise, like,
She was
what?
she had to say something to get out of there. And that freaked him
haven't met
enough
the
to, like,
prince
allow
yet.
him. Yeah, there's some weird line.
Just imagine him be like, oh, like, and when she
Imagine
walks
Walt
away, just
watching
be
that,
like,
being like, wait, what? What did we leave in?
so she didn't know the whole time. That's what we're
Yeah.
going to try and sell people.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's going to work well. Yeah, to me, that was just, imagining being on a date and having it go that well and then that poorly because of midnight. Be like, oh, I got to go. And it's like, dude, this is going till 4 a.m. What are you talking about?
Imagine being Prince Charming after that and staying up in bed being like,
What did I say?
What did I do?
Does my breath smell? Did I
I
forget to
step on
put
her
deodorant?
foot?
Like,
you would second guess everything.
I guess
That's
I was, I'm not
That's
the
why
best
you need
dancer, but
closure,
like I think
people.
we did pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know. Something
that's
crazy.
tough.
You got anything else from chapter 2 or should we?
Yeah, just
Push
Cinderella
chapter
is the best. She's so, like, eloquent in the dance scene and everything. And when everything turns back to midnight and she just has only appreciation for the whole experience, this world needs so much more Cinderella pumped into all of our veins. I can't
Beautiful.
express that enough. Like, the fairy godmother is like, oh, by the way, read the fine print. This will stop at midnight. Like, it's very concerning. You should listen. And
You're
she's
saying
like,
yes now, but you're not going to
she's
feel
like,
that way at midnight.
it's more than I could ask for.
Yeah, that's true.
Meanwhile, you and I and the rest of the world are, like, complaining about Amazon not shipping the package
day
within
later.
24 hours
Yeah.
of clicking it. You know, like,
I stand by
we
that, though.
we have lost Cinderella. And we need to get Cinderella back again.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually
that
pretty
slogan
inspirational.
going.
You're almost doing your toast too early, buddy.
I'm done.
All right, see you guys. Chapter 3, Duke tells the king what happened. The quest happens for the girl. They go look for her all throughout the kingdom. They've got one slipper. They're going to try it on everybody until they find out who it was. So, coming to the house, Tremaine locks Cinderella in the tower so that she can't be eligible to try on the slipper. And then, the mice and Bruno and everybody kind of gets her out of there. She comes in, slipper breaks because Tremaine trips the guy who's holding it, but Cinderella has the other slipper and they realize that it was her, and she, marries the prince and is happily ever after. I guess this one's about the Duke, really, my question. Big monocle exposure in this movie, and I would say probably the first that I ever got in my whole life. Thoughts, questions, comments on
What
monocles.
the hell is it?
Yeah.
No.
First,
it's so
secondly,
weird.
what is it? And thirdly, have you ever seen one in real life? Not ironically. And
No. I mean, that's him and
what
Mr.
the
Peanut,
hell?
right?
yeah.
That's it.
But like,
Did you
What
see a
is it?
Peanut label or Cinderella first? That's how you know.
oh, Cinderella.
Yeah.
It was in the room I was born, so it was just playing.
that's
So
for sure.
what are you gonna do? I just can't imagine how they ever worked, because how does it stay up?
I don't know. It would stress me out. Even with, I do have glasses, going back to your intro, and
Nice.
I have to put these, like, little rubber things on because the idea of them, like, falling off the front of my face is so
well, dude, when
traumatic.
When
I
it
can't even
cracks,
stand that.
I remember that being stressful for me. When it cracks and it's like shattered glass and he's holding up to his eye, I'm like, get it away from there, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Don't have a legit, like, get like an epoxy on there. It's got a lifetime warranty. Don't actually do a glass monocle. But man, I wish they were still around. And honestly, I will be going on Amazon to find out if you can buy a monocle still. Because I don't know who's doing it. And also, who's got one eye that you want to improve and not the other one? Is it like less
None of it
classy
makes
to have
sense. No, no.
glasses back then? I don't know, dude.
You're spot on. You're spot on.
It's weird for me. Does the prince even deserve Cinderella?
I don't think anyone deserves Cinderella.
Wow.
That's the real answer. Is there a Disney princess that if you were the parent that you would be more happy that your kid brought home
Belle.
as Cinderella?
Belle.
You would rather have Belle than Cinderella
Yeah, I
be
do.
like your stepdaughter?
I
Or
think
not
so.
stepdaughter, but
I mean, Cinderella's
daughter-in-law.
the tops, but if we're going really realistic, I gotta say Belle, dude.
no, it's a debate. But
She
that's
hasn't had
that's how amazing
19
Cinderella
years
is.
of trauma and abuse that you've got to work through in marriage counseling for the rest of
Yeah.
your life. Belle is, smart, dynamic. You
Like,
gotta
you're
love.
gonna have Maurice at Thanksgiving.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh, that
the difference
crazy
is
old
there's
Maurice.
no in-laws with Cinderella. She's done with Lady Tremaine.
That is my question. That's another question I have in this chapter. What do you do if you're Cinderella at this point? Let's say you do get married to the prince and you live in the castle now and your life is a Cinderella story, gone from rags to riches. What do you do about those people back there? Because nothing ever happens to them. They don't die. Lucifer does die. For sure.
Yeah,
Lucifer's
Lucifer does
legit dead.
die.
He just falls and dies from a
Yeah.
tower. So that's an actual death in this movie. But what happened? What do you do about them? Do you tax them more? Do you kill 'em?
Cinderella, to a fault, she
Big of a
would
heart.
still have a relationship with them. And I think I haven't seen all of the sequels. I've seen parts of both, but
just wanna see
it's
mine.
it's not candid, but yeah, she does keep a relationship with them. She couldn't not. It's Cinderella. She's not
Gotta
gonna
love her,
walk
man.
down and be like, oh, I have the other slipper. Like,
So long, bitches. Like, I'm
out.
Yeah,
that's just not her.
See ya.
Yeah, we love her, and
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
That's not who she is.
She's one of our favorites. She's one of
Yeah.
our favorites. And speaking of favorites, let's move to our favorite categories. What was your favorite song?
Favorite song was "So This Is Love."
God, me too.
I
dude.
play it.
I sing it.
That's the difference.
often. That's the difference.
Yeah,
I'm always
it's great.
throwing that bad boy
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there. It has a lot in my heart. This is love is a big deal to me. Character, it's got to be Cinderella.
Fairy Godmother.
See, I'm gonna mix it up as well. Mine was the guard that the king dances with in the hallway.
Wow.
When he's walking around, he pulls
Yeah,
that
yeah.
guy. Dude, it's like he's doing his job. He sees a crazy king all the time, and he knows when it's time to get down and do a quick little ballroom swag with the king, and then get back to his stuff. I really like that part, so that's mine. Favorite scene?
The Fairy Godmother scene.
Yeah, I'd say Night of the Ball. So This Is Love.
Yes.
And then also the scene where I hate to give anything to the mice, but where Jack is in a trance and just kind of walking past Lucifer and the buttons where he's like, I think that's nice. He almost made my hero's cut because of his fearlessness.
Wow.
Truthfully. Like,
Yeah,
and
I
if you
guess.
think, I don't want to give it to him because I really don't like the mice. And also, whoever did anyone buy Alvin and the Chipmunks albums or anything like that in that voice?
Yeah.
No one,
My stepmother does.
Dang it.
Yeah. Shout out to stepmothers.
Shout out to stepmoms.
Yes. Yeah,
That's-
has it on record.
Wow, I'll stop saying
Record,
stuff
yeah.
about that then. That's rough. My point is, yeah, I thought that was a good one. That moment with the mice, and the other one that I liked with the mice is when they're traveling through the walls and they are all falling down stuff. That's kind of
it's
pleasant
cool.
to watch. Favorite quote?
When Cinderella says at the very end, "But you see, I have the other slipper," and she says it so confidently.
Such
and
a slipper drop.
There's one thing that I have to bring up.
Please.
How idiotic is the plan of the stepsisters to try to fit into the glass slipper? Even if they can, they're going to show up and the
gonna be like,
prince is going to say no,
Not at all.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's like if Ursula showed up at Prince Eric's with Ariel's voice, but didn't change into Vanessa.
Just is
It's like
an
just
octopus.
a blob
Yeah.
that shows up, and it's like Eric's like, obviously,
Like,
you
well-
were the one that I saw on the beach.
If the voice fits, I guess I got to do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Look
not
different. I was a
It
little
isn't
drunk,
like
but
that. Yeah,
man, I really felt
yeah.
like
The
you
prince
looked better.
knows it's not the stepsisters.
That's
That's for
true.
sure.
That's true. Mine was one by the fairy G, and she says, "We have to hurry because even miracles take a little time."
Gosh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
And then the other one is from the Duke that I liked, and I don't know how I'll use this, but I hope to someday. The king goes, "I've never seen her before," and the Duke goes, "Well, that's one thing in her favor." And I was like, "Whoa, monocle
that.
drop, absolutely."
Yeah.
Is this movie worth a rewatch?
Yes. Yes. Come
Worth
on.
a watch if you've never seen it.
Yes. Yes.
You need to raise your kids on this movie. Show kids
Yes.
of any
Yeah.
kind.
It's a Cinderella story.
Yeah, it really
This
is.
movie came out 71 years ago, and it still appeals to how many different generations now?
Oh yeah.
Like
dude.
seriously, like 7 at this point. If you were like 60 or 70 in 1950, and then all of those generations of people.
Yeah,
It's
no,
timeless.
it's a triple crown for me as well. All of that's a yes. Just Cinderella's a great movie. If you haven't seen it for some reason, God, just go see it. Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move into our playground pick'em. This one's an interesting one. It's essentially, Jay, why don't you tell us what it is?
Yeah, it's if there were modern day professions for Cinderella, Lady Tremaine, and the fairy godmother, what would they be? And Harrison and I were just going to sit on the same side of the table.
Yep.
And figure out what
Which
would
the
be
best one is.
for,
Yeah.
for them.
So you go ahead and posit what you've got for Cinderella. We'll start with her.
Yeah, Cinderella, I'm the most confident on. She would be an incredible business professional, entrepreneur, CEO of a company.
Oh, I totally disagree.
Oh, okay. Let's go, Harrison. Okay. This is why. Think about the patience that she has for all the mice and all of those little critters. And she takes just a beating from the stepsisters and stepmother. And she has incredible work ethic. AirPods or no AirPods.
Yeah, it's true. Even
And
sans
if
AirPods. That's French.
she would just need to create what the item would be. Maybe it's shoes. Maybe it's Cinderella branded shoes.
Wow.
You're
Everyone in
telling
the
me
kingdom knows the story, and now
everyone knows
she's
the
gonna
story.
come out with her own
People-
slippers.
People in the modern world as well, like they love the story behind how a company was created. It is a Cinderella story. Like that's
Oh, man,
you
that's
can't beat
so
that.
good.
The marketing and everything.
That I do
Cinderella
love.
would be an incredible business professional CEO.
Dude, people would be like, these slippers got her a prince. What can
Yeah,
they do for
they'd be
you?
branded on the back.
Yeah, that's sick. You gotta love that, but not shatterproof yet. There's definitely some R&D that needs to happen with those.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like the problem with that is she's got too big of a heart, man. I think that you got to be a little shrewd to be a business CEO in this world, and she's just going to get taken advantage of by all the kingdoms because she's not going to be able to say no. And she's going to take the hit. She's going to take the financial losses. She's never going to lose, sight of the goal. But man, if you put her in a board meeting where she's got to be a real shark, I don't see her doing it. I think I put her as either a dental hygienist. I'm just going to throw a couple at you. An assistant to an eye doctor, a prison warden, and a dog washer.
I could say dog walker, actually.
Wow.
She'd
Yeah.
be
Full service
great.
pet stuff. She's so good with animals. Are you
She could
kidding me?
Definitely, I would feel very comfortable.
Dude, she should
like,
have a
through
bus-
Rover. Like she could stay at our house if we're gone.
I still
and take
want
care
her
of
to
our dog.
have a brand on Etsy or something for her slippers because I think that's
Yeah, she's gonna have a
genius.
brand.
Yeah, she needs
Well,
that, but
whatever
I
she
feel like
does.
she's gonna find her true. I mean, dude,
Yeah, she'd be great on Etsy.
oh my gosh,
Yeah, that's a great
crush
call.
on Etsy, and that's one of the nicest things you could say about someone these days. Okay, let's move to Lady Tremaine. What would you say the best one of all those are? You still sticking with the CEO?
I am, but you bring up some good points. The dental hygienist is
I like
also.
that too.
I
But
completely
with an
understand.
Etsy business, with,
Yeah.
with the condition of
Yeah.
slippers.
She's a startup
Slippers
on
by
the
Cinderella.
side.
Yeah.
Startup on the side.
Yeah, I
and
like
a
that.
dental hygienist in the day.
She needs a business partner for sure, but
Yeah.
I like where she's at. Lady Tremaine, what do you got?
This one is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, talk about a CEO.
No, she couldn't be a CEO.
She's definitely a closed door policy though. Big time. Don't mess with her.
So I'm not even
Come
gonna ask
in,
the question
child.
like why you mentioned the prison warden for.
Dude, I feel like she'd have such a
Cinderella.
great relationship
Lady
with all the
Tremaine
prisoners.
could be.
Yeah.
Lady
She'd be
Tremaine.
like the bad guy in a movie that's a prison.
She
warden.
would be
I feel
like the Shawshank Redemption woman, and then have her get Andy
she'd be like the
Dufresne,
holes,
and she'd end
be
up
like
in
the
jail.
holes lady with the sunflower seeds.
Yeah, or she could be the
Poison nail
lunch.
polish.
Oh, she could be Miss Trunchbull in Matilda. that she could be her. She could be running
Just another
a
character.
very strict private school.
I think I've got a great one for her, honestly. I said my first instinct was realtor. I feel like she can put it on. She knows high class, she do
Yeah,
luxury
yeah.
estates. But the best one, I think, and tell me I'm wrong, a sommelier, where she comes to your table with wines and like she would make me buy wine because no matter how much I knew about it, I would feel like an idiot talking to her. And she just kind of has that air of like, I'm high class. I know what I'm talking about. This is the best wine. It pairs with fish. Buy it now.
Yeah.
I think she'd
If you love your partner, you'll buy this. It's
yeah. I've
I
killed
hate
before.
her, but I'm going to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Fairy G, what do you got?
Maybe a counselor. A counselor or a like kindergarten teacher.
Wow, kindergarten teacher's a great one. That would work.
She's so lovely. Actually, I could see her being a kindergarten teacher assistant specifically.
Oh my gosh, who
She
you would
wouldn't
go to
run
if you're
the school,
crying
but
or
she would
something?
be she would
or like
be
a school
the,
nurse
very
or
nice.
something. Like you would
school
want to go.
nurse. Yeah, I like all those.
For her, I've got and it is a little bit more uppity boppity boo, but a vacuum salesman door to door.
Oh
where
my
she
gosh.
just goes into houses, she shows you the kind of cleaning. If she's not doing
It's
a great
so
job,
good.
whips out the wand on the side a little bit. But I
So
remember one
good.
time when I was a kid, a vacuum salesman came into our house for like 3 hours and told me about his screenplay that he had wanted to write and like this really
That's
awesome
called
story.
burglary.
Yeah, and it was
Harrison.
3 a.m., which is the weird part, but he was running vacuums and it was very distracting and we ended up with a lot less valuables. But I feel like if Fairy Godmother knocks on your door, you're not showing her away anyways. And then she shows you some Dude, I'd buy anything from her if she showed up to my door. And I'm not
Yeah.
even that guy, but she shows up with some vacuums and be like, I don't even care about this, but bippity boppity, let's do it.
Yeah, I can only imagine her selling like vacuums from the 50s though. I can't see her holding like a nice Dyson
Where's
or something.
the Dyson technology? Like, no,
Yeah.
you know this thing with the huge console in the
Yeah,
back. Whatever.
exactly. One of those big vacuum
Big
bags.
like burlap sacks on the back of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. So we've got Cinderella as a C, or let's say a dental hygienist with a business in Etsy that's very successful. Slippers by Cinderella. And then Lady Tremaine, what do you think? We like her as a sommelier, or do you want her to go prison warden, which is pretty good?
I think prison warden.
Prison warden, and then Fairy Godmother, either a school nurse or a vacuum salesman door to
Vacuum
door.
salesman.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, before we toast this movie, I do want to rethank our sponsor, TSA PreCheck. Thank you so much for sponsoring the episode. Didn't think you were listening, honestly. Didn't even realize you were, had the capability to, but I guess they've got Apple Podcasts, so that's great. And Jay, why don't you go ahead and toast this movie?
Yeah. I'm going to say to the movie that set the very high Disney standard for the rest of time. To Cinderella.
To Cinderella. You gotta love that. I'm saying a toast to the first princess we've seen that's old enough to drive, which was great. You love to see one that's not 14, 13. And then also just two dreams not being wishes that your heart makes. If they were, I just don't think I'd be able to make it. So thank you, Cinderella. We love you so much. Okay. And that brings us to the end of Cinderella, 1950, seventh movie in the series. Jay, what do we got next week?
We have Alice in Wonderland.
Oh my gosh, I know this is a big one for you.
Ready. Yeah.
That's
It's
going to be
gonna
good.
Something.
But you know what? Thank you so much again for listening. We will see you next week. That was Cinderella. We'll see you for Alice.
So
There's just so many moments when you're talking and you're saying everything so passionately, like it's like you're presenting to a court, but then you look so crazy. It is so hard to take.
I
you
would like to
seriously. I
just
love
wear
it.
this hat. Like,
Oh my
just-
gosh, it's so good.
I mean, it's huge. Only it's like a tip of the iceberg of what
Oh,
the
yeah.
camera actually picks up on. But